All right, folks, Dr. Anthony Criniti IV here, also known as Dr. Finance. Welcome to the Dr. Finance Live podcast, special mastermind edition. If you want to find out more about the brand and the company and the community and everything else, drfinance.info. But today, at this moment right now, is actually very unique. I've had on my main podcast so far, almost 100 superstars from the best paid speakers in the world, the best writers, you name it. But today is the first time, even though it's a special mastermind edition, that my partner in the mastermind retreat, where I'm actually going to be interviewed by him. This is weird. So Preston, take it away, fellow host.
Dr. Finance, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be the one to interview the interviewer, the host of hosts. So I want to get your questions. I want to get your feedback. So what did you think about the mastermind retreat that we held in Arizona?
Oh, what a great question. You know, Preston, first, let's step back. I want to go back to, like I say, almost a year ago, right? So how the birth of this idea began. All right. So folks, if you don't know about myself, I Clubhouse, hold the biggest, one of the super hosts over there. So I went to go meet someone named Dr. Bernie Siegel, famous, one of the top spiritual leaders in the world. I went to go see him at his house and was hanging out with him for a weekend. And that's when the idea clicked to me. I'm like, wow, I accomplished more in this weekend with just a few hours with him than 1,000 Zoom calls would have ever accomplished. And that's when it clicked to me. I'm running all these giant stages on Clubhouse, but the connection, the physical connection is lacking. So I called Preston up right away. I said, Preston, we've got to get a physical retreat. We've got to get people to meet in person, get them off this COVID Clubhouse thing. Let's go meet in person. You get Mark, I'll get Sharon. Let's do this, man. Are you in? He goes, yeah, I'm in. Next thing you know, we're building this momentum. We're building this foundation to this retreat. And 6 months later, we pulled it off against all odds. Most people say, you're not going to be able to do this. Price is too high, blah, 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 blah. You got too many. How are you going to get Sharon and Mark at the same event? That's two of the biggest names in the whole speaking and writing industry. But we did. So to go back to your question, the fact that we were there and all these people were there and they were all happy, they walked away, they were happy. I was so happy that we were able to serve the community in that way. And in that regard, I think I love the event and I loved it so much. I think we're hopeful, and I'm getting ahead of myself. Hopefully we'll have many, many more to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I love that. And you reached out to me, you had a vision and you reached out to me and asked me to help you. And I align myself with strategic partners and amazing people. That's what I look for in business. And so I want you to just mention a little bit about what you do and what you're up to in the world and who you are. Tell me that.
Thank you, Preston. Well, folks, if you don't know me already, Dr. Finance Live podcast, Dr. Anthony Criniti. So I was a former financial planner, then I turned professor for about 10 years, wrote 3 books, The Necessity of Finance, my first book for my students as a professor about 10 years ago. I was an online professor, by the way, so I taught at about 6 universities. And then my second book, the most important lessons in economics and finance. And then my last book, The Survival of the Richest, 2016. That was a long time ago. And that was about 500 plus page book. But COVID broke me out of my shell, folks. And to keep this long story short, I built this brand, Dr. Finance, interviewed so many major guests, including Preston Weeks on here and the Clubhouse stage. We've had, I started the longest running room in Clubhouse, had a few million people go through the Clubhouse stage of my stages, including that event. Some of the biggest names in the speaking world, writing world, entrepreneurs, billionaires, you name it. But I'm going to continue building this brand. I'm going to continue bringing great folks here and going to continue, if Preston's up for it, building these great retreats to supplement what we're doing here. Because I not only want to impact people, because not everybody can get to a physical retreat. I not only want to impact those folks who can only do virtual, I also want to take it to the next level and get everyone to meet in person. As you'll see on this interview of all the guests, the attendees that were here, it has changed their lives just by being with us for a few days. So looking forward to that and many more to come.
Yep. No, I love it. And I want to highlight, the reason too, why that question is so important, because you called me and you asked me or to do this thing with you. And I only work with people who are full of integrity, who are amazing and who add value. And so when you called me, I was so honored to do this with you because of who you are. So I want to honor you and I want to give you respect. I want to highlight you for the person that you are and for what you're trying to do in the world, because that's why I wanted to partner with you. That's why I wanted to align with you to create this in the world. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of amazing things to come. And so with that, what was your favorite moment of the retreat?
You know, listen, I have so many favorite moments. I'll boil down as quick as possible. First of all, we came there. I came there Wednesday. That Wednesday was flying over. Like it was a long day from Philadelphia. What's supposed to have been a 5-hour flight. I didn't get home. I didn't get to Arizona until midnight at my hotel, and I'm eating dinner at 12 o'clock at night at my hotel. That Wednesday was miserable, right? But I knew that the next day when I woke up, I was like, all right, everything's gonna be better from this point on. I'm here. Call Preston up. Preston and I hung out that whole day. We talked about how we're going to organize things. That was a cool day. We're just hanging out. I got to see Preston in person. So that was one moment. And the event didn't even start. So the next day, we got the house. We started hanging out like it was a pre-event, but that was still cool. We got to hang out. So that night's also stood out, right? Like just getting in the house and hanging out, like without anybody else being there. A few folks. Saturday, Sharon came. That was incredible. I got to meet Sharon, top of the notch. By the way, I want to talk about the house real quick. So I wasn't impressed with the house. The first hour, I was like, yeah, these are old rooms, 5 rooms, they're old rooms. And then an hour later, I finally walked outside onto the lawn. And that's when I started liking it. I'm like, whoa, this thing doesn't end. I didn't give this thing a fair try. It just was like swimming pool, orchard, tennis racket, basketball courts, ponds. I mean, you name it. That's what I'm like, whoa, this thing is cool, super cool, with the Camelback Mountain in the background. That was when I really liked it. We hung out on Friday. The dinners, by the way, we didn't talk about the dinners or the meals. They all were super cool. And then Sunday, when Mark and Crystal came there, it was a beautiful experience. Folks, we had breakdowns in our transitions, I could call it transformations, happening that we can't name names, but they actually were crying on the event. And that was incredible. Sharing impactful moments. I don't know, Preston, if you want to share a specific moment that I was thinking about, and I'm sure you're thinking about. I thought that was pretty cool. But also, and then the final day, we had our breakfast on that Monday. We're like, hey, let's go to lunch. And what happens? Preston witnessed the whole thing. We bump into Brendon Burchard, okay, and Dean Graziosi, 2 of the biggest names in the mind self-help world, the mindset world. And what's the chances of picking the same restaurant at the same moment? I mean, the trip was just right there. Everything was put in stone. So I can name a million more, but that's the highlights. Thank you, Preston.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was incredible. And it was just a catalyst to see Dean. And I'd known Dean from some past filming events that we had done in the past. And Brendon was actually, to bring it full circle, Brendon started his career because of Mark Victor Hansen. So
what
Brendon
is the 360 twist to that? That's incredible.
Yeah, Brendon Burchard's first chance on someone's stage publicly was Mark Victor Hansen. Mark Victor Hansen gave him the first opportunity on stage. And Brendon told me that when I saw him there, just at our conclusion of the Mastermind event, where Mark Victor Hansen was one of the keynote presenters and speakers and guests, celebrity guests at the event. So it was this full dynamic, incredible circle that just, you couldn't even have written a script, right? That was better than that. And so it was amazing. So, to wrap this up, are we doing this again?
Absolutely. If you're in, man, I'm in. So just say the word.
I'm in. That's it. Right now, we're declaring it publicly. So we're doing it again. We're going to figure it out because this was just too good to not do again. It was such a special experience. And so I love being a part of this. I love creating this with you. I love every single person who was involved in this event. And so it's amazing. And like we said, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So thank you for letting me interview you, the host of hosts. I got to interview the host of hosts. That's another thing I can put on my checkbox of things. But I love you. I appreciate you, brother. And it's amazing the things that we're going to do. I'm so excited for the next events that we're going to put together. And yeah, this is exciting.
Thank you, Preston. Appreciate the interview, man. And folks, check it out, folks. Stay tuned. If you're interested in the next Mastermind retreat, just follow drfinance.info and we will have more information coming soon for sure. In the next few months, we plan on doing this maybe at least a few times a year for the start. So stay tuned. This next one, who knows? It might be in Utah, Park City, Utah. We keep talking that name. Who knows? And we don't know who's going to be our next guest speaker. It's going to be probably somebody during the podcast interview. So check out the people that I've interviewed and just put that in your thought. Like, wow, how cool would it be to be in person with any one of those folks? Preston will be
Who
there.
you want to see? You know, put in the comments who you want to see. Who do you want as the next guest? Put in the comments, share, you know, who you want there, and we'll get them because we know them all.
100% between the both of us, we'll get them. So thank you, Preston. Appreciate you. And thank you, folks. And we're going to continue this interview chain as we go forward. So stay tuned for the next one, the special Mastermind edition of the Dr. Finance Live podcast. drfinance.info and Preston Weeks. Thank you. Thank you so much, Preston. Appreciate you.